Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Kristian Little Stricklen. I have the pleasure of being the president at the Madam Walker Legacy Center, as well as a proud member of the Circle City chapter of the Links Incorporated. And I am so pleased to welcome Tonya Lewis Lee, who is co-director and co-producer of the movie Aftershock, is joining us here this evening for a conversation. So thank you so much, Tonya, for your time and for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Wonderful. So we'll just jump right in. It was an amazing movie, as well as a very important conversation that I think more people need to just be aware. What actions do you hope people will take to address this issue after seeing this film?
Thank you, first of all, for having me. And I want to say that I think that, everybody has a role to play in reducing the maternal mortality and morbidity rates in the United States, and especially focusing on the inequity and disparity of Black women dying at higher rates than white women in this country. And so I think first and foremost, I hope people come away from the film more informed, not just about the issue of maternal mortality, but sort of how we got here, how we are sustained here, and that they can think about ways in which they can use their own unique talents or gifts to bring these rates down. So I would say that I hope people think about where they can plug in. It could be as simple as giving to a group who's trying to bring a birthing center to their community. It could be if they are a healthcare provider, just thinking maybe a little bit differently. What we're finding is that hospitals, insurance companies, medical schools, communities are reaching out to us because they want to use the film as a tool to spark conversation and think about innovative ways in which we all can do better. And then the final thing I will say that I really hope people do take away is to start thinking about birthing in America a little bit differently. I hope that there's a cultural shift that happens with birthing here, where instead of focusing on the fear and the pain, that we focus on the power that a woman has to bring forth a child, and that power is supported by the people she has around her during her birthing process. So we think about how we support pregnant women, birthing people, so that we have better outcomes.
That is a great point. As a mother, I think about just myself and the fear that I had and preparation for having my son, and had some difficulties myself in delivery, and ended up having to have a cesarean. And just the fear, as you said, it's just a different way of thinking, about that entire process and giving women back that power. That's
absolutely. I mean, look, it's a rite of passage. It is an empowering thing if we think about it that way. I mean, the fact that we can bring forth life is amazing. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
And let's focus on that and get the right support around women.
With that in mind, there's been so much that's been happening in the world, specifically here in our country, around abortion and things lately. Do you see any synergies between that topic and what we're talking about here as far as maternal mortality?
Oh, 100%. I think the reversal of Roe, the Dobbs decision, can have devastating impact on communities. I mean, there was already a study that has shown that with the reversal of Roe, that the death rate, the maternal mortality rate is going to go up. And of course, it's going to go up for everybody, but it's especially going to go up for Black women, right? I mean, we're going to get hit the hardest. I think that, when we talk about women's health care, when we talk about maternal health, abortion care is maternal health care. I think that with this decision, what we're already seeing is delay of care, delay of life-saving procedures for women, because doctors are sort of caught in a place and not sure they're able to provide certain procedures. I worry about the criminalization of women, and again, especially of Black women who have miscarriages, who are looked at in certain ways. So I think it's all one conversation. Abortion care is maternal health care, and it should fall under the same thing. And we should all have the right to carry the pregnancy we want to carry, and to abort a pregnancy if we need to, for whatever reason we need to as women. Again, I'll just say it. God already made the decision. God already made the decision. Comes through a woman. Who are we to decide that we know better than a woman than she does about her own body?
Amen. Amen to that. So what was your motivation for creating this film?
So I came to make Aftershock way back in 2007. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services asked me to be a spokesperson for an infant mortality awareness raising campaign here in the United States. Back then, I didn't know that there was the disparity and inequity. Also, same numbers, Black babies dying at 3 to 4 times the rate of white babies in the United States. I had the chance to travel the country, all kinds of communities, really focused specifically though on Black communities, talking about women's health, because when you talk about an infant's health, you're talking about a woman's health. And I would talk to groups of women, and inevitably someone would tell me a story about someone they knew who had passed away from childbirth complications. And I actually had a classmate of mine from when I was in grad school call me and tell me his wife had passed away from childbirth complications. And so I was hearing it anecdotally, had been thinking about making a film. I made a small film called Crisis in the Crib about the infant mortality issue. And, you know, in 2017, 2018, a journalist in the New York Times, ProPublica, wrote a couple of articles. And that's when I knew, I was like, I better hurry up and make this film because someone else is. And look, there are many other films coming, as there should be, because we need to keep telling this story and get it out there. But I definitely wanted to put my stamp on the issue and bring my eye and my vision to it.
And it was very powerful. And it's something else that you just said that I just wanted to really note, like this maternal mortality is more than just women. It's affecting families. It's affecting men who are left to then be single fathers. And I know in the film, and as I said, I had just seen you in person in DC, and I saw where the families were on the panel as well. And so this is something that men really should be more engaged in as well, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I think people think of maternal health as and I said it just now, right? Women's health issue, right? But women's health is about a family's health. It's about a men's health. It's about a children's health. It's a community. We're the bedrock of the community. And so, you know, when a woman does die, who's left behind? The men are left behind to raise these children without their partners. And I think, you know, and the partners tend to be the supporters, right? And they're in a tough position sometimes because they want to advocate when you're in a difficult situation, but then they have to be careful about their advocacy, right? You become an angry Black man, there may be other consequences. So the men in this situation have a lot to, they bring a lot to the issue, and they go through it as well. One of the things that was an unintended, really beautiful thing that came out of the film is that Bruce and Amari have gone to Washington, D.C. multiple times. Recently, they were there meeting with a group on fatherhood, mental health and wellness, paternal health, mental health. And in this group of men, this one man, as they were talking, said that he had witnessed his wife having a C-section, and he was very traumatized by it. But until he was in that room with that group of men, he had never mentioned it to anyone, but carried that with him. So we realize that men are watching, they're experiencing, and often don't have support. And I think it's really important that men also really be able to have support and talk about these issues.
Have you seen where male-led organizations have rallied around this topic?
Well, I have definitely seen Bruce and Amari are out there doing the work. And I know they have talked to fraternities, and I know, there are conversations happening at, some men's organizations to get conversations talking with men. But I will say the most powerful thing that I have seen is how Amari and Bruce do reach out to other fathers who experience loss in the way that they have, and the community that they have created amongst each other to really support each other as they're going through their grieving and healing processes.
How did you meet the families?
Yeah, so Shamani Gibson died in October 2019. And in December of 2019, for her birthday, her mother, Shawnee Benton Gibson, and Omari, her partner, decided to have a celebration of her life. And they actually called it Aftershock. And they put out an invitation on social media that we saw. We reached out to them and asked if we could come and film what they were doing, and started a relationship with them from that moment on. And then Amber Rose Isaac passed away in April. And we had seen Amber's tweet before she died about how she wanted to talk about the treatment she had experienced. Bruce had a press conference like a week after Amber died. So we saw he was doing that also from social media. And then Omari reached out to him to offer support. And then we got to know Bruce through Omari, and we went from there.
Wow.
But these families wanted these stories told. I mean, this is the key here. They wanted to talk about it. They wanted to have community discussion about not only the deaths specifically, but about the systemic issues that we are dealing with when it comes to maternal mortality and morbidity. So they were already out there, ready to have the conversation, and we were able to just bring our cameras and follow them.
Well, advocacy is very important. And let me just stop and say, first of all, condolences to those families. And how are they doing now?
I think what they would say is that they're doing all right. Like, they've had a lot of support from community. They're very fortunate in that I think they feel very held by, Shawnee in New York, and all of them from New York. And they have a big New York community that's really supporting them. They've been very active. So I think that's been really helpful in their healing process. And, I think they feel like the word is getting out, and that people are saying Shamani Benton Gibson's name. People are saying Amber Rose Isaac's name. And so I think they're feeling like we are at least getting the word out, and that's a lot. That means a lot to them.
And they've both started organizations in honor of women, right?
Exactly. So Shawnee and Omari have what is called the ARIA Foundation, which really supports healing through arts. I mean, again, Omari is a painter. Shawnee, who you didn't see in the film, is also, while she's a reproductive rights advocate, she's also a performer. And so they really, and does healing through art. So their organization really supports healing through art. And then Bruce has Save a Rose Foundation, which is working to bring a birthing center to the Bronx. They have already been able to get some legislation passed, or at least the first step in getting some legislation passed, to have midwife-facing birthing centers here in New York State. And they have been able to at least get what they call the womb bus in the Bronx that is able to be like a mobile healthcare center, if you will, serving an underserved community there in the Bronx.
That's amazing. Sometimes it's just best to go to the people instead of waiting on the people coming to you.
Well, isn't that the truth?
Are there any other resources that you would recommend for viewers if they want to participate in getting more involved into this topic?
The things that come to mind are people like Kimberly Seals-Allers. She has what is called the Earth app, which is sort of like a Yelp for pregnant people that rates hospitals and doctors. And that's gone through, I think she still might be in her beta phase, but if you look for Kimberly Seals-Allers, check out the Earth app and try to help support what she's doing, because I think it's really great bringing in that technology there. I am on the board of March of Dimes. I have to shout them out. I think March of Dimes with Stacey Stewart, who is now our president, has really focused the organization on equity and maternal health outcomes. And we're doing really great work. And there are lots of different ways that people can get involved. And I would say, organizations like Black Mamas Matter are doing amazing work, Black Women's Blueprint here in New York. And I would say, look into your communities. I think that, these are local issues. You got to get out and vote, get involved in the voting process, because as we talk about the Dobbs decision, federal laws matter, but as we all know, state laws matter tremendously. So, and we the people have the power. And I know it's hard. It feels very hard these days, but we do have the power, and we can't give up to these forces that are trying to roll things all the way back.
And so we've been talking about nationally, but also globally. It says, according to statistics, Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia account for 86% of maternal deaths worldwide. Do you feel maternal mortality of Black women is a global crisis?
Well, I think so. I mean, when you give numbers like that, right? I mean, look who is dying, and it is always Black and brown people. Black, brown. The indigenous communities here too are suffering terribly. So I think we are in a global crisis, and I think we have to, as I said earlier, reimagine how we think about birthing. I was just in a conversation earlier today with someone who was talking about seeing how how women who are in labor in Rwanda, how she was talking to people who drive mopeds to figure out how to create something so they could drive these people to the hospital. And all I kept thinking was, why are we taking them to the hospital? Why aren't we bringing the care to women who are in labor? Why are you putting a laboring woman on a plank to move her, as opposed to, let's rethink how we're providing care here? Why are we making women, travel hours to a hospital when there is a community of people? And I'm a big proponent of midwifery and of the rigor to become a midwife. Don't get me wrong, like they midwives know what they're doing, but we could train people as midwives and be there in these communities and provide the support. So I think that we really need to think about, again, how we approach birthing, so we can think about how we reach and treat all of these Black and brown women across the globe.
Wow, I feel like we could talk about this for the rest of the day. Oh my goodness. But Tonya Lewis Lee, thank you for your time. Thank you just for the efforts that you have taken already, just to bring this this very important topic forward. And for anyone else who's watching this that has not seen Aftershock, please watch it. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Kristian. Really appreciate it.
My name is Kristian Little Stricklen. I hope that you have enjoyed this amazing conversation this evening. Thank you again to Tonya Lewis Lee for just your advocacy around this very important topic. Thank you to our hosts this evening, the Madam Walker Legacy Center, the Circle City chapter of the Links Incorporated, ImageNation, the Indiana Minority Health Coalition, as well as Planned Parenthood Alliance advocates for your support around this very important topic. If you have additional questions, definitely check out our website at madamwalkerlegacycenter.com and enjoy your evening.